the protest group Take the Flower Back dialogue, but they haven't got back to you.
That's right. So we spoke to them first, or sent them a letter first on the 2nd of April, and they didn't respond to us. We then heard that they were planning to destroy our crops, so we sent them another letter to which they didn't respond. We put out a video appeal, which they then responded and said they wanted public dialogue. We went ahead and we planned a neutral venue with a neutral chair so we could have a 2-hour debate on the issues, but they came back to us and said unfortunately they didn't have the capacity to talk to us, which is very unfortunate because it would be much more constructive to meet face to face and talk rather than to have a day like today when there's a lot of police presence and film crews around.
Okay, so you're free to come in here and leave things as well with us. We'll have somebody in there the whole time, so if you need to leave bags.
To produce food. For climate change reasons we need to do that, and for the increase in world population and the fact that Europe is a net importer. We won't really be able to buy the food out there if the world continues to need more and more food as it appears to be doing at the moment. And one has to say, we already have GM soybean in the food chain because we have to import that. The European Union allows us to do so because it's a main source of animal feed.
One of the key messages of this research has been that you're very much working with science and not against it. Explain that.
Yes, I think that a long time ago we were asked if we could do more to control pests in more and more natural ways, but to get robust systems that are comparable with our current pesticide control measures. And so we really looked at what nature had to offer, the crop plant, and that's what we have to do. We can do it in a very targeted way.
Yeah.
You know, this crop that we've genetically engineered, it's an elite variety of wheat called cadenza. It can be sown as a winter wheat or a summer wheat. And we've put these genes into it so cleverly that you can't see any difference at all, except this very small amount, but essential amount, of the aphid alarm phone. That's what you can do with GM. It's an incredible technology. It's not old-fashioned. It's got a lot more to offer for us in the future. And we really must be there as a nation with a big, vibrant primary industry based in agriculture to be there to develop this kind of technology for our benefit, for Europe's benefit, and indeed for the world's benefit. See how we can make it work best, and then to offer it for people. Offering it to the farming industry, the food industry, and a way of taking us forward into the very tough demands that are coming to face us with rising population and climate change.
Final message to the protesters. Why is this research so vital?
It's vital for us all. It's vital for our kids and their kids. We've got to use new technologies we don't have at the moment, to produce our food in a more sustainable fashion. And that's why it's crucial that we do experiments that are legally sanctioned and contained by all appropriate safety measures.
And this is?
Indeed it is.
I came here sort of 10 days ago to see the crop because of their come for an open debate. Okay? And was shown around. Very good. That you don't need to have a protest like this to have an open discussion about what's going on.
Yeah.
And yet there's hundreds of thousands of pounds of taxpayers' money being spent on security because of this handful of protesters. Police, you know, obviously coming out of the policing budget, but the general security of this site is coming out of our science and research budget. And people understand that. So it's money that could be going to cancer research, to other food research. And it's really important that local people get behind it. Rothamsted is unique in the world. That the UK actually for crop science is unique place to do crop science because of our climate and our different soil types. And if these trials don't happen here, they will happen elsewhere in the world, and they will happen with far less strong regulation. And that would say we want science, we want well-regulated science. We're going to jump to conclusions. We're not going to say all GM crop is bad, all GM crop is good, but we're going to make decisions based on the evidence.
Yeah, okay.
And that's why I'm really pleased that there's been a lot of public support in Hartland.
You need the research to be able to try and feed the population and try and maintain biodiversity and all the other things that people want in nature. Yeah. You know, it's the whole ecosystem. You know, it's such a big thing.
Stuart Agnew, A-G-N-E-W, and Stuart spelled with a U. The sugar beet crop I grew, it actually encouraged biodiversity because of the mass of weeds that were allowed to grow up in the crop before before you kill them with the Roundup. Whereas in the ordinary sugar beet growing, you're spraying that crop every 10 days with a weed killer, and it's totally sterile. All there is sugar beet. And so you're getting this mass of other plants, which, as well as helping stabilise the ground from wind erosion, also gives the things that eat the roots of the sugar beet something else to eat, because they eat the roots of all these other plants. And of course it's a wonderful haven for wildlife as they grow up, then they're killed and it leaves a mulch. And it wins all ways.
We're looking at using low impact, low input systems, having a diversity of crops all being grown together. We're looking at the sorts of farming that people have been done for millennia, but also there is innovation within that. I mean, people like the Savari Trust, for example, have just in Wales have made 3 or 4 different types of blight-resistant organic potato, and yet are they receiving public funding in the way that Rothamsted are receiving public funding to go down the GM route? No, because GM makes money for companies. So we're told that GM is the way to feed a hungry world, but actually greedy companies are going to be fed by this, and people will continue to go hungry. Through selective breeding, companion planting, composting systems, looking at soil erosion, all of those kind of things, when you put them all together in a package, can build a system that is really versatile, that is able to resist changes to climate. And feeding the world thing is making farmers poorer, not richer. We're working on the farms. The smaller farms can't afford to do the same thing. The smaller farms are going under. And so you're losing so much of the kind of diversity of economically and across the whole society. And then you're having aerial sprayings of Roundup just going across huge swathes of land in Argentina as they've given.
And that there's something else behind the objection that is more philosophical, less scientific.
We're not at all anti-science. That isn't what's going on here. When the proper scientific studies are done, and they aren't being done, you know, at the moment, how can I trust scientists who have not done the research, who don't seem to be having a scientific approach to me? So sort of the answer to your question.
Could I just jump in at that point?
Yeah, go for it.
Wouldn't they say, but you're stopping the research, you want to stop the research?
Really different. Laboratory testing, open air testing. That's the difference.
Not that you shouldn't trust and honour the chaps who are here today. I'm really happy they're here. I know we've already met them. They're really nice guys. But just always be sure that you know that you have the right to protest until there's a very specific law invoked to stop that. And if a policeman tells you you don't, it's possibly because he doesn't understand, and it's possibly because his superior is telling him porkies. I'm a bit disappointed because I was expecting a whole book burning rally here today. There's no Nazi book burners here, it seems. I have to fess up, I am a Nazi book burner. If you give me a Nazi book, I'll burn it any day of the week. I'd like to welcome a few people today. I'd like to welcome the men and women from Hertfordshire. I think some of them have probably had to give up their Sunday to be here, and I hope they don't get heat stroke, and I hope they enjoy themselves. I'd like to welcome the people from... You've got to applaud, by the way, when I say this. You have been portrayed, without a chance to speak back, you have been portrayed, because you oppose GM, and we know there's many, probably millions more in the country who are the people who opposed it last time round. You've been portrayed as mad, wide-eyed, vandal Nazis in the media. Sense about science have seriously penetrated our government, penetrated our research bodies, penetrated the bodies which decide where funding goes in science. It is a very bad and murky situation which has to be exposed. But if there are any of them here today, and I know they were planning a counter demonstration, I don't know where it is, but if there are any here today, we'd like to welcome them, and hopefully if they listen to us, they can lose some of that strange programming they've had from Frank Ferrudi. So a welcome to them. A welcome to any Rothamsted scientists who are here. We thought there might be some passing among us. We do welcome them here, but this is our day, and so we're going to be speaking and you're going to be listening, because we don't have the mass media on our side yet.
So much antagonism amongst the campaigners, why they're so against this trial.
Well, this is a relatively new technology, but it has been in use in other countries for a long time with no harm to human health. We are using a non-toxic method of pest control, as we said, and we need to move away from the pro or anti-GM discussion now, and we need to look at each GM crop on its individual merits and assess the benefits and the risk of each of these crops on individual merit.
Trial to go ahead.
Okay.
You should want to know the answers from this trial.
Okay.
And you should want it to happen in Britain with strong regulation, strong protection.